Welcome to the meeting point. My name is Michael Iko. Today we're looking at the topic sports development, a peep into Nigeria's performance at international level. You will agree with me that Nigerian sport development generally has witnessed relative improvement, but basically compared to what is obtainable at the international level, we are still yet to meet up with our contemporaries, particularly in the developed world. Recent competitions that Nigeria participated in shows that in spite of our effort to ensure that we come up top in terms of performance, some of our outings didn't go down well with so many Nigerians. And until we take deliberate steps to ensure we invest better than what we have done now in terms of plunging in finances to improve on our sports, all-round sport, we will not really make the desired impact like the other worlds, like Canada, America, South Africa, in African continent, and other nations that have also really looked at their sport very critically. I have in the studio a very grounded sports analyst, two-time secretary, two-time chairman, Sport Writers Association of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter, a politician, an astute administrator, and a grassroots mobilizer, Comrade Edoreh.
Good evening, it's my pleasure to be with you. You know, so you give me plenty.
You are welcome to. You are welcome back from Morocco. I'm quite aware.
Thank you.
We're there at Rabat.
Yeah, and
where Nigerian Super Falcons.
Yeah, we lost to Morocco in Rabat. We lost to Zambia in Casablanca.
So, yeah, in the course of this discussion, we'll look at it, how it happened right there. Generally, how will you rate Nigerian sport development?
I think that we haven't made progress, and as I say, we just need to say it as it is. You probably go to let's take Atlanta '96 for instance, Olympics as a watershed. You know, we did fairly well at international level, and after Atlanta '96, maybe Beijing 2010. But after Beijing 2010, London 2012, Rio 2016, the recently concluded Tokyo 2020 that held in 2021, and many other events we've not been doing well. You know, so if you look at where we were some 2 decades back, in the early mid-90s to early 2000, and what we have done throughout 2000, from the 2000 series up to this point, I think we haven't done well. We've been declining, and we must admit it. And you alluded to some of the reasons why we've been declining. The point really is, when you have potentials and you begin to harness or begin to see if you can realize your potentials, you need to make the requisite investments, you know, to be up there. And global sports is highly competitive, and you cannot just rely on what you've had at home, you know, the raw talent and all those things. There must be some very serious investments to be made. We haven't made those investments, and that is why we are also not being very competitive at the global level.
Okay. Well, from the analysis you gave, I think we were talking about football in particular.
Not just football.
General, sport general.
Yes, not just football.
Yeah. But most times people tend to concentrate on football and thinking that other sports should not
the reason why that has become so is, again, attention. We are a nation of great sports with S. We used to celebrate our athletics very strongly. In the days we used to have mobile championship, for instance, we know our athletes, we celebrate our athletes, all the Mary O'Neills and all that, we celebrated them. You know, we look forward to them. We look forward to seeing them at even national meets. And we had great boxers, and we celebrated boxing. We had great weightlifters. We celebrated weightlifting. Oliver O'Rourke and the rest of them. So we really, yes, football is our king sport, but we also had we had interest in various other sports, like I've enumerated. We had interest in athletics, we had interest in boxing, we had interest in weightlifting, and we were doing well. But now that those things seem not to exist again, you know, at a high level. Of course, we still do them at National Sports Festival, but at the international level, it's like we've really not been around there again. So we're just focusing on football. But Nigerians actually love boxing. Nigerians love weightlifting. Nigerians love, you know, athletics.
Okay, well, why is it that attention is not given to some of these sports that you just mentioned?
I think that we miss the roots somewhere along the line. You know, like I said, we alluded to a lot of things. You know, we were doing well in the 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s. It's like we were growing. But when you grow to a certain level, what is now required for you to get to the next level? You're talking about global competitiveness. We toyed with a high-performance center in Nigeria. We need a high-performance center. We do not have the facilities to build elite athletes in the real sense of it. Some of the athletes we've had are people that went to the United States. I mean, Blessing, Brumer, Tosi, Amusa, Toby Lola. They are all the University of Texas in El Paso. Many of our athletes had to go to the United States. That's where they actually have access to standard facilities, standard management, standard training, standard coaches, you know, and we see them coming back to do well for us. But within the country, what facility do we really have to say this is a facility where elite athletes can really train in Nigeria and then from there move on to...
What about would one have in the University of Port Harcourt?
Of course, it's just by mouth. How functional is it? How functional is it? We also have the National Institute for Sport in Lagos. How functional is it? How effective have they been? We have a branch of the National Institute for Sport also in Abuja. How effective have they been? But the point is this. The athletes that have done well for us at the global level are athletes that come from the United States. I'm talking about athletics, for instance. Blessing, yes, did well here locally, but grew up, so to speak, into the elite class when she went to the University of Texas in El Paso, because you know the United States has the facilities for them. Brumer also went there. Kobe is there. We tried to send Ogero. I think that's his name, there too, and so many of our athletes.
What about our boss, Ojegba and the others?
We did send a lot of people away. Of course, many are called, few are chosen. Some will do well, some will do intermediately and all that, you know. But the point I'm making is that we really don't have these facilities. We also have not developed the standard management system. We have not developed the standard funding system. We have not developed the standard welfare system, you know. All these things are lacking. We need to sit down and actually plot the graph of what is required. We really haven't made that investment in terms of money and in terms of, you know, mental commitment, intellectual input to what is required to establish a sports development architecture. We really haven't.
Okay. Well, they just concluded World Athletics Championship in Oregon.
Yeah.
Nigeria went with 20 athletes,
yeah,
and only 2 were able to come out,
yes,
victorious.
Yeah.
Toby Amosa, you are talking about,
yeah, and Ese Brumer,
who won gold, and Ese Brumer,
yeah,
who won bronze.
Yeah.
So silver. Sorry. The issue now is why is it that others, you know, in that contingent were unable to come out with good results?
You see, you see, with growth sports, if you look at Toby's history, Amosa, Toby has been there from the juniors to the intermediate. She attended World Championship. She was in Doha 2014. She's been to a few Olympics. She's been to a few championships. And she at a point, of course, it was difficult for her breaking into the international class. You know, talking about getting into the final class. But after some point, she started showing consistently at the finals of the 100 meters hurdles event. So she was there, you understand? And I think her time came. She had to improve her time. In Doha, she came fourth, I think. At the Olympics, she also just didn't get gold, but she was close to it. So she winning at the World Championship in Oregon in 2022 was almost like, yeah, it's her time. She has grown herself and improved herself to the level where she can win. You know, and it's the same thing for Ese. We have seen Ese coming from juniors through the African series to the world class. We have seen her at the World Championship.
I want Ese.
Yes, of course. We have seen her we saw her at Doha. She took third. You understand? At the Olympics, she took third. That's bronze. And then at the World Championship, she took bronze. So you will see the systematic growth. You see the systematic improvement. And for many of the athletes, probably they have also not had the support system, because these athletes I'm talking about also have some support system, you know, behind them. You know, we also saw how the support we gave to Blessing, the support we gave to Brumer from Delta State government and all that. You need all that. Many of the states do not actually commit to sports like Delta does, probably Lagos, probably Ogun, probably Kwara. I can count just a few states who commit really to sports, and we're talking about multi-sports, you know. And once you don't have that investment, it becomes difficult. And some of the athletes you mentioned, some of them are in the United States also, you understand, but what support system do they also have that keeps them going? You need to pay your coaches, you need to be able to attend a number of events, you need to get your kits, and you need great organization around you. So a lot of things needs to be happening.
Yeah. Okay, Nigeria came 13 at that Oregon in USA,
yeah,
and third in Africa,
yeah,
with Ethiopia and Kenya ahead of us.
Yes.
Are you saying that Nigeria cannot come top in Africa?
We could have if we had been developing not just grassroots. You develop from the grassroots, but you also develop your elite athletes. Because the elite athletes have to move from some level to another level, you know, by way of scaling. The Ethiopians, Kenyans that you're talking about, they have a niche in sports, the middle and long distances, and they try to maintain that, you know, and then struggling to see if they can get into the short distances and so on. And so it's a niche. They are very strong there. Nigeria, at a point, we were good in the short and middle. Middle in terms of maybe just 400 meters and all that. 400 meters, men, women, 4x4 and all that. But particularly good in 100 meters, 200 meters, and then the relays 4x1. You know, we can be sure to come out somewhere around that circle with some medals. But after some point, we also almost became like a one-nation athlete, a one-athlete nation. Because for over a decade, we were relying mostly on Blessing Okagbare. You understand? And at a point, we also saw Blessing, I wouldn't say begin to decline, but begin to edge out a little bit. And that was why at the African Championship in Congo in 2015, she didn't run the 100 meters. At the World Championship, we had issues, you know, whether they were entered, not entered. At the South African Championship here in Asaba, she also didn't run the 100 meters, you know, and so on. Even in Morocco, the All African Games, she didn't run the 100 meters, you know. So you can see that when Blessing pulling out. So who do we have? Of course we have the other guys, Philly and so on, but they also need to be grown. At what point did we start growing them, and how much investment have we made? In spite of Delta State, what of the nation as a whole? How much are we putting in to be able to raise athletes that can fill that place that the likes of Mary Onyali, Falila, Togunkoya and all that, what they left, the room they left, what investment did we make to make sure we fill people there? And now that Blessing it has gone, you understand, we're looking to see if we can still have some shining star. Of course there are possible, we have a lot of young girls, you know, but we need to make those investments. And it's the same thing with boxing. When the likes of, we celebrated Obisa Wampa, Jerry, Dudu, and so on and so forth, we celebrated, of course, our own Afres, Ifajagba and the Federal Apuche. They have gone out to the United States, but what do we have left in boxing? You know? So I think we need to look at all the sports and look at where we left off. and what we need to do. The athletes are there, the raw material is there, but I think that the organization is lacking. I think that the management is lacking, and I think that the investment is lacking.
Okay, let's look at the Super Falcons. Just concluded WAFCON in Morocco, where you covered. And can you share the experience with us?
Well, I think I just run a conclusion about it. You know, because we've been champions of Africa for a long time.
11 times.
Yeah. You know, you've been champions of Africa severally. The next stage you need to move to is the world stage, to contest for a position at the world level. Now, what kind of investment do you require to compete at that world level and take a place at the world level? Yes, you've been African champion, but you need to be world champion. Or you need to be among the world 5, you need to be among the world 10. Definitely the kind of coaching, the kind of training, the kind of facilities, the kind of funding required for that movement will also have to be different from what we are used to in achieving your position in Africa. You know, so did we really make it? It's a question to ask. I was in Morocco, all right, but I also saw the training center for the Moroccan national team. It is out of this world. Fantastic, out of the world. Everything you need for an athlete, from medicine to science to, I'm not talking about facilities now, say field and all that, you know. We're talking about high-level sports development that considers medicine, that considers science, that considers computerization, a lot of things. You know, so when you saw those girls, Morocco, we beat them 8-0 some several years back. But it's the same Morocco. We couldn't play. You know, because we didn't invest as much as we needed to invest to keep this. You know, it's always difficult to remain at the top. So we're at the top for a long time. We didn't see the competition coming. We didn't understand the investment, or we didn't mind the investment or recognize the investment that other nations were making in their countries, and they were developing. We were still thinking that we are the champions. But we got a sign in 2018. In 2018, Bayana defeated us in the opening in Ghana. You know, yes, we defeated them in the finals of that championship in Ghana in 2018, but we went into penalties. That was a sign that, is it Bayana that is holding us like this? Yeah, something is changing. And then they came to the Asia Buhari Cup in 2019 or 2021 or so, and then defeated us 4-2 right in Lagos. Now we thought that was a joke. How could it be a joke? We were defeated in 2018. I mean, they defeated in the opening game in 2018. You managed to seize the final 2 penalty from them, you understand, but they came to your home and beat you 4-2. Now, as we discussed that, you also recognize that the team has not qualified for 3 Olympics in a series, in a row. They didn't qualify for London 2012, they didn't qualify for Rio 2016, and they also didn't qualify for Tokyo 2020 Olympics. That's the football teams. They didn't qualify. And apart from the male team that qualified in Rio 2016, the women didn't qualify for London 2012, they didn't qualify for Rio 2016, and they qualified for Tokyo 2020. Who qualified? It was African countries that took the slots. So that should show you that you're already losing it.
Like we didn't qualify now for Doha. For Qatar 2022.
Like we didn't qualify, that's the main thing. That should show you that we're already losing something. You know, and for me, it was like, how do you call it, fait accompli. It's there for you to see. It's only if you refuse to analyze the trend, then you will not see it. But if you do analyze the trend, you will see it. And for me, the reason is, yes, we are at the top. We didn't make effort, and we didn't make the required investment for us to move up to the next level, which is global competitiveness. And if you don't do that, the point for you to go is back. You start going back, you get a decline. And that's what has happened to us. Okay,
yeah, I think there's one recurring decimal in our football in particular, when the Super Falcons were complaining that they were not motivated. The analysis were not paid, and what have you. That also have contributed to their poor performance in Morocco.
Yes, well, let me say this. I witnessed a situation in Casablanca when the girls returned from Rabat to Casablanca. they refused to train for, I think on Thursday or so. Their match was supposed to be on Friday or Saturday and all that. We went begging. I know Egbavon was there. I know Asha Falode was there. I know Pili called in severally. We tried to talk to the girls. They didn't agree to train. Then the next day they managed to train and then went to play. You understand? But you see, I will not like to respond to the Falcons situation, the issue of payment or no payment of entitlement in isolation. I would like to give a background to it so that we can understand what the issue really is. And I'll start by saying that, do you remember that in Mali 2002 Nations Cup, we had the same situation? The Super Eagles had gone on their training tour. They arrived from Egypt through Kenya and then went to play. First of all, they had to go by road, you know, somewhere from Kenya to Mali or so. And they didn't like it. Why? There was no funding for them to go to have those travel arrangements by flight. That is one. Two, they didn't pay them the allowance they were supposed to pay them. The ministry at that time said the NFF didn't apply in time and fund was not released on time, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, it was Dr. Patrick Ekeji that took cash from Nigeria to Mali and then went to pay the guys and then paid them $1,000 as against what they had agreed. You understand? And that sparked off a row between him and Olise. And that led to the disbandment of the Super Eagles in 2002, which we went to the Korea Japan World Cup with a new team led by Onigbinde, because the team was disbanded. Why? The players complained. They said, oh, for complaining or using harsh words on the KG, they have insulted the minister. By insulting the minister, they have insulted the president. By extension, they have insulted the nation. So they disbanded the team. Now, what was it about? Money. Now, you also remember that in France 98, there was the issue of, oh, there was no money, and then our money came eventually the day we were going to play our semi-final, one of our games, I think second round game against Denmark, and that the players had to start sharing the money in the night. You heard something like that. There was also the situation in Brazil 2014 World Cup, where Minister Danagogo, if you remember, Tani Danagogo, because they didn't have their money, they didn't have money, they were complaining. They also refused to train for a day or two in Brazil. That team was led by Stephen Keshi.
We also learned that the Super Falcons refused to train in Morocco too.
That's what I'm saying. I just mentioned that they didn't train for one day. Now in Brazil, the same thing happened. Then Tani had to take, Danagogo had to take $3 million, we understand, fly from Nigeria to, or had to move the money any which way, you understand, and then we understand that was the day we were supposed to play against France, you understand, and we had a good game, but we understand that the players spent the whole night arguing over money. You also remember that the Super Falcons played in South Africa 2010 Women Nations Cup, where they won, and then they refused to leave the hotel for about a week until they paid them their money. Why are all those things happening? It's not something that just happened now. It is because the system has not established a standard and a process of getting out or making sure that this payment gets to athletes or are released on time. You know, timely management of issues. And that has been the problem. It didn't start today. I'm just taking time to draw you back, to tell you that it is a process thing. It is a system thing. Something is wrong with the way we manage our system. And I think part of the reason is because our sport budgetary system is faulty. We rely on the normal government budget cycle. Sports cannot thrive that way, because it goes with a lot of intervention, and many nations have been able to solve that problem, you understand, by providing a steady fund for development of sports. Sport England, for instance, government pays in what they are supposed to pay or what they agree to pay.
Okay, we will come to that when we will draw analogy.
So this is very important.
I say we will come to that. We will draw analogy with what is happening when developed world, where sport is seen as business. Compared to what we have here. Okay. Yeah, I want to. So before we forget this issue of budgetary, you say the budgetary process is not functional. You know that SCAF have its calendar, FIFA have its calendar. Yes. And every period that we are going to play qualification, maybe as from next year, you say, okay, qualification will start by February. Why not when you are budgeting for that year that for sports. You now put into budgetary allocation that we are going to campaign for qualification, whether for FIFA or for CAF, at all the levels. You understand? You put that budgetary provision in the sport budget, so that when they start preparation for, you can also put that, okay, peradventure they qualify, the money is already there for them to prosecute the championship proper. Why are we waiting till 2 weeks to depart from Nigeria to the venue of the competition before start looking for money?
Somehow, like I said, the budgetary system, what is done in sports is that they budget the normal thing, the recurrent, whatever they have to do as recurrent expenditure at the sports ministry level. You know, maybe they have some capital project to do, maybe stadium renovation or whatever. But when it comes to competitions, they come from intervention fund, which resides at the presidency. You know, and when you even make such requisition, the intervention people will also let you know, from there to the Ministry of Finance, they will also let you know that, well, yes, the president has approved, but there are also a lot of other things hanging that require money. And this money you need most times, so they are also, you require forex for them, particularly for the Super Falcons, as it were. I think that at a point, the ministry, is it the ministry or the central bank, we also have to start checking if it is safe to move this level of, this amount of forest right now, or can we wait a little and all that. Many things are going through TSA and so there are so many things in the system that does not immediately respond to sports. But that's why I was coming to make the comparison so that you will understand it. You know, budget or no budget, what England has done is they have a steady fund for sports. Government puts what it considers it can to put for sports every year. Then the Sport England system has a provision for bet companies to plow 40% of their profit or so into the fund as a steady money that goes in there. Of course, there are donations from charities and so on, and they get a set of experts or eminent persons to manage the fund. You know, so it goes. So it is outside government now. They sit down. Okay, we have Olympics coming in 4 years' time. Where are the athletes training?
I think they have displayed the number to call.
Okay, fine.
Let's make the announcement. Call us, viewer, you can make your contribution or ask question with regards to the issue we are discussing. The topic is sports development, a peep into Nigeria's performance at international level. And we are talking a whole lot about sport development in the country, how we can move our sport beyond where it is, how we can get funding, how we can remedy all the crises we are witnessing our sport development. The number to call is right there on your screen, 0807-843-4277. 0807-843-4277. The other number is 0812-106-9621. You can call to make your contribution or suggestion on the way forward, because if we really give attention to sport development, it will engage numerous youths that are roaming about the streets of Nigeria. They will be engaged in one sport or the other. So that is what is also helping the advanced world who have paid attention to sport to engage their teaming unemployed youth. So Fred, the analogy on
so what I'm saying is that England established what they call Sport England. Government puts its money there, the private sector put their money there. There is a tax system from the betting companies, you know, that it says you must plow so amount to that place. You understand? Then there is donation for a charity. So the pool of the money is there. So they can plan at any point. They have the money keeps growing, the money keeps revolving, they plan at any point. They don't have to wait for budgets.
Hello? Hello?
They don't have to wait for government budget before they do anything. At the conclusion of the Olympics in London 2012, the next day after the conclusion, they started telling us exactly where the various other teams are going to train towards the next Olympics, that's during 2016. They told us canoeing and water sports people will train here. They will have to train in the particular place where in Brazil and all that. They gave us full picture of what they are going to do in the next 4 years towards the next Olympics. And that's the way it is. In Nigeria, we used to have that fund. Just to say that it is even that fund, Sporting that services facilities as far as grassroots and primary and secondary schools. They can say, okay, look, in this community or in this state or in this region, there is need for us to establish more basketball courts or more table tennis knock-up halls and so on, or let us put some pitches for primary schools and so on. They sit down with government people, they analyze it, the fund is there. If they need further fund, they talk about it, but there's a fund, you know, and they're able to sacrifice. Let us put more facilities in primary schools, let us put more in secondary schools, let us put more in universities, in designated areas and so on. The fund is there. So it's not something that minister doesn't come, then you start arguing and start reversing, and then president sign, president not sign, there is approval but no cash backing, all those kind of things. You know, because there are so many funny languages that we use in our administrative system that doesn't go well. There's approval but there's no cash backing. What are you going to do? Even if the president approves for you, and then you go to the Ministry of Finance, and then the Ministry of Finance approves, and then you go to the central bank, and then look at the whole of that bottleneck, look at the whole of that bureaucracy. Sport England leaves that. And that is what is practiced in Australia. It's also in Canada. You know, now we used to have it. We used to have National Sports Endowment Fund. In the days of M.K. Abiola and Chief Emmanuel Iwayao, we used to have it, where we have a pool of funds. So sometimes when government is doing something and there is a problem, you respond immediately from that fund without delay. Now, I do not know what happened, but it was abandoned. Somewhere along the line, we saw the need to continue with it. And so we had the Team Nigeria project. The Team Nigeria project was driven by Mrs. Indi Okereke, who was, I think, chairman or DG of the Stock Exchange Commission at a point. She brought the government and the organized private sector together. Hello? Hello? Is it on speaker though?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So Indi Okereke brought the government and the organized private sector together to raise a pool, you understand, of funds that supported Team Nigeria. That's what we call Team Nigeria project. They had a GM, they had a board of government people and people from the stock exchange. So those people had the confidence, being stock exchange people, being listed companies, and being driven from their side with their DG involved. They had confidence to put their money because they were sure that the money will be well managed. So they had that full confidence. They put in cash, they put in kind. And that was how we were able to manage our team to participate in the All-African Games in 2003, what they call Koja, in Abuja. We had no issues because government was investing so much in the facilities for hosting the games. So we needed fund to manage our team as a country, which is different from the investable fund for facilities and then the money you need to run the team as an athlete. But we were able to answer that with Team Nigeria. So government having so much commitment of investment didn't affect the team at all, because the organized private sector was there with Team Nigeria to make sure that the team that would participate in the event was also well taken care of. It was from that fund that we also went to New Delhi, the Commonwealth Games in New Delhi, India, 2010. And it was from that fund we went to August 2007, All African Games. So throughout that period, it was seamless. But at some point again, they dissolved it. Something happened, some people argued against it, blah, 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 and then we didn't have it. So we are now back to the normal bureaucracy. And that's why we have the problem we have. Other countries don't act that way.
Okay. At what point do you think Nigeria will begin to see sports as business and put in the desired fund? So you see, we have different sectors in an economy. You understand? You have the rail sector, you have aviation, you have transportation, you have agriculture, you have whatever. It is left for government to decide what it wants to do with each sector. And they say sports is recreation, blah, blah, blah. If you want to make sports business, government must be involved in driving it. What do you require to make sports business? I'll give you an example. Look at the league. The league doesn't work well. Our league doesn't work well. You see the kind of money they are talking about in Europe compared to what obtains here? Of course, worlds apart.
And why? First of all, there is no television, and I say this with due respect, there is no television, indigenous television company in Nigeria that has the capacity to buy broadcast rights for the league. None. They don't even have the capacity to even produce the league in the real sense of it. And I say this with very humble respect, but it is true. So, television capacity is missing as a nation. At a point, Lai Mohammed was toying with the idea of reinvesting in the NTA. You remember some $500 million something to reinvest in it to give them capacity. Reason because you remember there was one particular match that the NTA broadcast between Nigeria and Togo or Benin, and the picture and the commentary and the presentation was very poor. Do you remember? Some 3-4 years ago, you know, and Nigerians were disgusted because we don't have even our national carrier doesn't have the capacity. Now, what about the capacity to buy?
This guy is serious. Hello? Yeah? Your name and location, please.
So, the only companies that have come to this country they can buy right has been Multi-Choice, Super Sports, DSTV. And why are they able to do that? They are cable television, they get money from subscription. So they have the capacity to put money. You know? Then we had Kwesi, also came from South Africa. These are foreign companies. Was able to put about $10 million or so in basketball, and then basketball ring for some time and so on. Till, because we focus so much on the politics of the game. Who is going to be in the board? Who is going to be president? Who is going to be secretary? Those are the things we do here. We do not look at the ingredients that make sports really business, you know. So we leave the real issues. Look at your stadium. What capacity do they have? I tell you, if you want to do a night match in some of these stadiums, probably they will have to wait for the LMC to buy diesel for them. Many of them don't even have functional big gen, you know. And I say so because I know. You understand? The security situation, the stadium conveniences, you know, so many things that even turn people away. Look at us now. You are playing a match, even in Delta here. And I say again with due respect, because it is like that all over the country. You are playing a National League match, and then you are going to see 200 people at the stadium. What is the management of that club doing? Why are we putting money in a club that can only attract 200 people? What kind of market is that? So if you want to do it, you do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Because sport is about crowd. It's about fans. It's about spectators. So you have a football club, you are putting so much money on the football club, and each weekend they are going to play, you are going to see 150 people. Out of the 150 people, 50 are not paying. And so which kind of market do they do? You don't have sponsors. You can't have endorsements. The players are not well paid because you are not able to generate the required fund. First of all, you have to have the visibility. Because sponsors that are coming want to use you as a connect to the community. So if the community is not following you, the sponsors cannot follow you. Because you do not give them any leverage. What are they investing their money for? They want to connect, and you do not have the connect. So what is the point? You play like you are playing in a closed stadium. You know, Delta Force is playing here, you probably see 300 people. Wadi Works is playing, you probably see 150 people. Across the country. Yes. Maybe in the north you see, yes, canopilas, they have large fans and so on. So, and then you set up a management that doesn't care. Why will you have a management that will not care that that spectators comes to his games? Those are the beginning questions you must ask. Because the club must connect with the community, first of all. And if club doesn't connect with community, then there is no business. Because after all, business is about sales. And if you do not have, how do we call it now, market base, then who are you selling to? It is from that market base that you will connect on the highway, internet highway. You know, a lot of people are doing media marketing and so on. You know, the big clubs are doing digital marketing and so on. You see a club like Real Madrid boasting about close to 2 billion followers. Can you imagine that? So how many followers do you have in Enugu Rangers on their Twitter handle? Can't you just do that too? Everybody is taking care of that. You can't even produce your own games. And not to go, we are always busy talking about referee play, referee no blow, this one do this one and then they fight and all those kind of things. So what I'm trying to say is that the state governments, for instance, that are running these clubs, they must ask themselves one question: why are we running this club? Are we truly running it as business? Do we intend to run it as business? If we intend to run it as business, then what do we require to make it look like business? Ask yourself. You are running a football club, for instance, and then even if there is no broadcast partner, even if you are given the free rights to say, okay, let your state broadcast station broadcast your home club games live, yes, free of charge. You don't even have the capacity to do it. You don't even have, or you wouldn't want to do it. You wouldn't want to fund it. So there is no connection between your club and then your government. But you are just there, you are putting money, paying players, they go and come, away match, home match, they get, everybody's looking for 3 points. We win, we don't win, we draw, we win at home, we don't win at home. That's not business. There are some clubs that never win the league at all, but they keep making money steadily. You understand? Keep making money. Making money not just for themselves, but for the community. Because if Warri Wolves, for instance, can attract 15,000 fans on match day, I bet you we will sell maybe 5,000 pure water. We'll probably sell 5,000 plate of rice. Yes. We'll probably sell 5,000 bottles of Coke, mineral, and many other things. And some people with granite, some people with etakeke. It's a festival, and it's a big economic activity that is happening around there on the match day, and even after match day. The hotels, because the visiting fans will also need hotels. The hotel people will sell. The farmers who are producing the food that the hotel will use will also sell. Because there's going to be a high demand for garri, for instance. So there's value added. There's value chain. Because whereas we used to sell 300 plates of garri on a normal day, we have 10,000 people visiting us this period. And so we are likely to sell maybe 2,000 plates more of garri. And then the cassava people will be there to supply. And so on and so forth. So you must really check what you are trying to do. Ask yourself these questions. And I advise all state governors, and I say this with all honesty and with due respect to whoever is whoever. You understand? If you don't want to run a league club, please don't run a league club. We are not running league clubs like business in Nigeria. It is not a PR thing. It is money, and you are hearing it. They are saying they are buying players with £200 million. They are paying them £300,000 a week. Where's that money coming from? It's coming from the same simple revenue streams. From ticketing, from sponsorship, from broadcasting, and so on and so forth, from sales of merchandise. You know, a player is brought here, brought to a club, and then everybody is buying his jersey, the club launches new jersey, and everybody in the community, because they are connected. So once their club, which they love, and which they are connected to, displays a new set of jersey, everybody will want to buy, because they associate with it, and they are proud of it, and they are connected with it, and it is their own thing. But if it's not their thing, if it is government thing, they will just go there and look at it like government thing, and sometimes they don't even care. And then so something is missing in the chemistry.
Yeah, Fred, you have said a lot of benefit you can derive from having a mindset of business.
If you want to do,
how can we initiate it?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, we must be able to separate amateur sports from professional sports. Governments, both state and federal, must be able to determine by policy what is their area and what is the area for the other people who are in business. Do you provide facilities? How many communities have access to good sports facilities to develop even the athletes? First of all, if you go around the country, I probably think that it's only Delta that has a culture of investment in sports, sustained from governor to governor to the present Governor Kowa. Only Delta. And that's why Delta accounts for almost 65–70% of our athletes in Birmingham right now at the Commonwealth Games. Yes. And that's why Delta will always show when it comes to who has won international medal for us. Now, Blessing was there for a long time. Now, Asa is there. You understand? We will always show. Because we seem to be the only one. Of course, we make mistakes in so many areas, especially when it comes to football. You understand? But other states don't even care. So what business are you doing? Kano Pillars is there, they have very big fans, but they are not making business of it. You have big fans. Kano Pillars can boast of 20,000 spectators per match. How much money do they make from it? Even from sale of jersey. Why not? Now they have that connection, but what is the money? What is the same? There's what we call beyond 3 points. Football is beyond 3 points. That's beyond winning and losing. You understand? It's business. So as you get the best player, as you get the best coach, you must also get the best business development manager.
Yes.
You must get the best accountant. You must get the best ICT guy to make sure that every content of the club, from training to even athlete's personal life, is sold in terms of content. These days, people are making money from content. If it is Ronaldo that just sit down and just do guide 2 times, you understand, it will be all over the place and people are going to make money from it. If he makes a sign or if he kisses his girlfriend or whatever, you understand, and then we capture it, we sell it. He gets money from it, we get money from it, we are the producers. So you must do the same thing with your club. So what I say, when you have a professional football club, please understand what you are supposed to do to translate the club into business. And that means it is not just the players, it is not just the coaches, it is not just the facilities, but there are other economic managers that are required to translate whatever the club does into money. It is not the players that will do it. It is not the coaches that will do it. They are just catalysts. 11 people playing on the pitch, you understand, are just a far cry from what business is. The people who are doing business with it, the people who will manage it into business, are different professionals. Business developers, accountants, ICT guys, a lot of people. They are the people who will translate whatever coach and players do into business models that will be sold to the public to consume. And we consume it steady, from the match to the highlights, to the personal life of the athletes, to the news of them and their family, to news of the club, to whatever, to merchandise that they are selling, new jerseys, new mufflers, whatever. Some people have to be talking business while players are in training. Do we have it here? No, we don't. Is that the problem? Part of it. Now, larger society. Do we have the capacity as a nation? Do we have the capacity, multi-sector capacities, you understand, to also respond to sports, to give sport that push that it needs? So if we are going to have a big match today, can we have a big broadcast and be sure that the whole of Nigeria will see the game? Do we have that capacity to produce the match in a fine way? You know, television, cameras, producers, what is the quality of production? You know, we have 3D. Sometimes you see images like they're jumping out of television. They're so real, isn't it? Do we have that capacity? How many of our stations have the capacity to give you clean photos? Photos that make you feel like you are right there in the field and you can even touch the player. Because it is television. You hear and then you see. That's the simple thing about television. And then the photo must be beautiful because it is a word of beauty. It's a beautiful game anyway if you're talking football. But it's a word of beauty. And people are competing in beauty. CNN, Al Jazeera, whatever, Fox, ESPN, they want to invest in a manner to give you the cleanest, most appealing, nicest photos. Because it appeals to the soul. And the more you see them clean, the more it appeals to you, the more you go towards it, the more you are hooked to it. Of course, who's going to watch some breezy, blurry images? Do you have the capacity to do that? Now, if you don't have the capacity to do that as a nation, should you be asking yourself as a country, why is it that we cannot produce like BBC?
Let's try this. Hello? Yeah? Yeah?
Good evening. My name is Father from Masala.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Good evening.
I'm thanking you for bringing this man to television.
Okay.
It's a good and God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime you have sport, bring it back.
All right, sir.
You butcher the cow, small pieces it, remove the intestine, remove the whole shit, and digest it and couple it back.
Yeah.
And it's coming. If they couple all three years in TV today, Nigeria will be better than Barcelona and UK.
Thank you, sir.
Well, God bless you.
It's our own song from Isoko here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, Fred, people are listening, and that's exactly what we are saying.
It's a thing of concern.
Yeah.
It's a thing of concern to everybody because like okay, which campaign are they playing? I see the money that they pay those people when they hear. Yeah. Why are all different? You should ask yourself those questions. It's nothing to ask. But we're talking about leave the club now and so on. We're talking about the larger capacity. What of traveling? Can we travel safely? Can fans really mobilize that? The Warri Wolves is going to play in let's say Makudi. Can we move 1,000 people from Asaba and Warri? So do we have the transport system that supports that kind of movement? You know,
when they have just shut down our train services, I need to go to Kaduna. It's quite unfortunate. A lot has to
go and come back the same day. You can do it.
In those days when football was really I had some of my colleagues here, Little Atuna Baseki, Alois Shokereke. We were moving around because you were traveling from one stadium to another one, you know, from night bus to night bus. Yeah, you understand? Can you do it now?
The roads are not too good. The roads are not too safe. The conditions are not too comfortable. The money is also not too right there. And then the games are also not too sweet. The stadiums are not also very welcoming. What do? You need to look at the factors that militate against business. Because people are going to spend their money. Billionaires book lounges in clubs. I mean, in football stadium. You understand? Okay, Man City or Liverpool are going to play today. You can see 2 billionaires from China decide to, okay, billionaire from China and billionaire from Dubai. Let us meet on the day Man City is playing. Then they take a lunch. Do you know how much money they are going to throw into London that day, or throw into Manchester that day? Just 2 people coming, and they can meet there and do their business there. It's a whole lot of things. But we need to provide the architecture that will support it. And the nation must ask itself, so what does sports, what does football, for instance, because our king of sports, what does it need to thrive? Today, we are so engrossed in discussing who is going to be NFL president. Should Amaju contest? Should he not contest? Who makes Super Eagles win? Who not makes Super Eagles lose? And all those ones. You understand? Yeah, we want to go to the World Cup, but see, we live in leprosy to treat eczema. You understand? The real issues that militate against sports development, we don't touch them. We just are like butterflies, just touching the surface and just, making it look like we are doing something. England may not win the World Cup, of course, after the 70s or 60s that they won the World Cup, right? When it wasn't too competitive, so to speak. They may not win the World Cup in the next 10 years, even in the next 20 years, I can tell you. Or maybe, I'm not against them. But England has made so much money from football because of the development of the league. Manchester United employs 700 people in London alone. I'm not talking about in the city of Manchester, but in London alone, they have 700 people under their employ. The total league employs close to 500 and something thousand people. The tax they pay from the 20 clubs alone is so much. You understand? So the benefits are high. It contributes to GDP. Investors are coming. Do you know how much they are bringing from America? All those people coming from America to buy Man United. The people who have come from Arab world to buy Man City. Let's take it. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I want to say that.
Your name and location, please.
Okay, I'm Peter. I'm from Peep.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. I have to take the condition of.
Hello?
It's quite lost it. And so look at the taxes that they pay. The 20 clubs in the Premier League, you see the clubs, the tax that they pay.
Yes.
from the players and from the whatever. Look at the money that is coming from the Arab world into English clubs. Look at the money that is coming from the Arab world into Spanish clubs. Investors looking for where to put their money, and most recently they are looking for sports clubs, football clubs to put. Is Etihad? Is it Emirates? The other brothers, the Glazer brothers from America, and the Chinese are also looking for where to put money. Rich men from Europe, Eastern Europe are also looking for where to put their money in clubs. Europe is almost saturated. Yeah. Where next do they go?
Let's take this. Hello? We lost it.
Where next do they go? If we open our environment for them, if we invest and provide the minimal condition that will attract these people to come, they will come. Because they have money and they are looking for where to put their money. And we can see how they are putting their money where the leagues work as business for them. Who cares whether you win or you don't win?
Yeah.
Arsenal, as I say with due respect to all Arsenal fans, for a long time they didn't win anything. But the club was there, still making money. Because we're talking business. Man U is still making money. All the clubs are there, paying people, generating employment, generating businesses. A typical match day in London is crazy. You understand? Yeah. From Arsenal to Tottenham to Chelsea. It's crazy. It's the same thing all over Madrid. Why are we not doing these things? So we need to ask ourselves, from the governors to the sports minister to the president to the man who is the minister of what's it called, trade and investment or business development or whatever. You understand? Minister of industry. How shouldn't the minister of industry be concerned with how to make sports also an industry, seeing that sports is already an industry at the global level? Or is industry just about grinding cassava?
Production.
There is agriculture, there is fishery, but there is sports as an industry. And it's making money and you're seeing it. So what is your interest in it as a government? And if you're interested, then ask yourself, what are the ingredients needed to make it run like an industry? Forget about,
what in essence that our return for investment is not, it's not.
We haven't even invested.
It's not in the.
We haven't even invested our minds. We need to even invest our mind first. I'm not even talking about the cash. Invest your mind on what you want to do. Ask us, what do I want to do with sports? No, we're going to go to Commonwealth and come back. We went to the Olympics, came back, two medals.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, your name and location, please. Okay, your contribution. So what?
I think it's missed. You know. So we go to the Olympics, we go to the Commonwealth Games, we go to whatever, and come back. We get two medals, the minister shakes hand, we take photo.
You just mentioned Commonwealth. Now we're in Commonwealth with about 94 athletes.
Yes.
And so far so good. I won 3 gold, 1 silver, and 4 bronze. Yeah. You understand? So do you foresee us winning more?
Oh, sure. Again, many of these came from weightlifting. And thankfully, weightlifting just came back. You know, for some time, for some reasons, weightlifting have been off the radar of our international sports participation. You know, but we are back now, and I can see that the women especially have done good, 2 gold, 1 silver, and 3 bronze. You know, athletics just kicked off. You understand? And with athletics, I'm sure we are going to get many more medals. You know, at least Toby will bring medal for us. At least we expect that. Yeah. We expect women to bring a gold for us also. We have our boys in the short distance races qualifying almost into the finals of the 100 meters. 4 of them, you understand, in a field of 8.
Let's take this. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
How are you?
Please, we want serious-minded individuals to call. You are calling to ask how are you on television. That is not the business we are doing here. Please, if you don't have anything to contribute, please don't stop disturbing the line so that those serious-minded callers can have access to it. This number 086-280-0344. Please stop flashing us. You are disturbing this line. So, Fred, we're talking about Commonwealth.
Yeah, so I'm saying that I expect we'll have a lot more medals. Athletics just started. We started with a bronze in women discus throw, and I mean a gold and bronze in women discus throw. You understand? We've done well in the women weightlifting. We didn't do too well in men's weightlifting, understandably. What you also note is that for the past a decade or two, you know, it's only the women that have been doing well in Nigerian sports. It's a trend we also need to study. Yeah. Now if we have a functional performance center, this is a trend that they need to study. Is it economic or social issues that are affecting the men? These are studies that you carry out in sports development. Sometimes you just may not know that something is wrong with the men. You know, you understand? But if you look at the graph, it's the women that really have been keeping us on. We need to check that out. But like I said, athletics just started, and I expect that Toby is there, Amusa is there, Buma is there. We are in the finals of the 100 meters, both men and women. I'm sure we'll be in good field and all that. So yes, we'll get a lot. I mean, countries like United States and China are not in this competition, so only which way we'll get somewhere. Yeah. Are
you sure that the syndrome that has trained our sports would all no story is ugly yet? There's a motivation.
You know, I don't know how to put it, you know, because once athletes are in a competition, you will not like to begin to suggest that something will go wrong. We always would pray that it doesn't go wrong. Well, you know, they also started a bit wrongly. We had, for instance, that they got there, they were able to get their ceremonial wears and all that, but we needed to do some of the competition wears in a hurry. So we didn't do some of the competition wears from here. We had to do it in London under 4 days or 3 days, and you know, situation like that. If you look at the World Athletics Championship at Oregon, if you look at one of the jerseys we wore, it was Nigeria. You understand? N-I-G-E-R-A. The I was missing. So that probably wasn't our country, but it was our country. Why? Because many things were done in a rush. Yeah. So things like this happen. We haven't started hearing about payment or no payment of bonuses and allowances. We hope it doesn't happen. Israel is held in Morocco. Israel is held in Oregon during the World Championship. Yeah. Probably because people were engrossed in football, they didn't follow what was also going on in Oregon. You understand? The situation was also horrible. The management of that of our team for that competition was horrible. You know, and we hope things don't also go wrong. So far, there is really no cause for alarm from what is going on in Birmingham. You know, but the issues of money have not started coming in yet. You know.
Okay. We are looking at how we can really improve on our sports development and all that. Yeah. But the grassroots, you have mentioned, I was very, very proud when the Minister of Sports said that 65% of athletes Nigeria is using today is from the Delta State. Yes. Which means we have fared well. Yes. Not only in this administration, the subsequent administration has also built, and this particular one is also sustaining it. Yes. So I want even the next governor to still sustain the sport development that we have in the state, and improve upon what we have. If Delta can become the signature of sports in the country, we sustain sports. Let's continue to sustain it. I was very proud that day when I was listening to him. Yes, it's a tradition. And he said Delta is doing well. Kudos to our governors, kudos to our sport administrators, but we need more improvement on what they are doing. The grassroots sports in Delta State is really thriving. But in other parts of the country, I can't remember if we have grassroots development, sport development across the country.
I think that maybe we really have not been able to structure our sports policy. There seems to be a disconnect between the states and the federal government. Perhaps we do the National Sports Festival. Some states participate just as a matter of ceremony. Perhaps the competition really is between Delta, Edo, Lagos, Ogun, Rivers, maybe. All others don't come to that don't come to the contest. They come to the competition though they participate. What I'm trying to say is that there has really not been very keen competition among states and regions in the country like we used to have it, that will necessitate the kind of investment necessary, you understand, for the development of grassroots sports across those other states. You understand what I mean? Delta wants to be on top. Delta has been on top, so Delta takes time to also continue to invest. I mean, see what Okowa did. Immediately came in, we had to revive the Principal's Cup. You understand? And then we went straight to the Headmaster's Cup. And I believe this will also translate into athletics, you understand? We are doing the youth games and all that. We're also leading in the youth games. So you see, we hold that area, so to speak. How many other states have taken that initiative? Because when you now begin to do Headmaster's Cup, for instance, it means that the primary schools, both private and secondary, will begin to bother on how to look for those facilities that will make their pupils or students, you understand, develop. So students will now begin to know that there's something called javelin. There's those who want to throw discus will throw. The school will have to buy those equipment. You will have to have a spike show, and so on and so forth. Various schools, primary, secondary, will start investing. Communities will start investing because there is a reason, there is a meeting point, there is a competition, there is where to take that trade to. But how do you invest when you don't have competition? So maybe in Kebbi, maybe in Yobe, maybe in Niger State, maybe in Zamfara. Are they really making this kind of investment too? And if they don't make that kind of investment, even Delta that is making this investment, the development will not be too, its development will not be strong. Why? Because it doesn't have too much competition. But if Delta is going to the sports festival, and Delta is not already being seen as the favorite, you understand? Delta will want to do a lot of things more than it's doing right now to make sure it comes out tops. But we're going to the festival, and we're almost certain that Delta is going to be first. We're almost certain that the next will either be Edo or Lagos. You understand? There is no longer competition. The remaining 29 states or 30 states or even 32 states look like they don't count. You understand? Now, if they're making this kind of investment that Okowa is making, for instance, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, in Benue, and so on and so forth, you will see how this primary and secondary school will begin to generate athletes in different disciplines.
And that will make other states to work harder.
There will be competition. First of all, there will be local competition. That within Asaba, you understand, the primary school within Asaba, primary schools within Asaba, there will be strong competition among themselves. And then in Oshimili North, Oshimili South, there will be strong competition among the primary and secondary schools and so on. Then against themselves as local government, even against towns. You know, because we used to have town team,
yeah,
where Abavo will go and play Iseluku. How many of that do we still have? It's the AAAs from Bender. You understand? By the way, I used to even be a boxer, you know, until they blew my eye one day and I said, okay, goodbye. But I also attempted boxing. I attempted karate. I attempted taekwondo. Even if only for fitness. Played great tennis. Played great football. You know?
Because they were coaches, they were
facilities, they were, yes. Yes.
So outside the schools now, you don't think that if we give attention to sports development as it were, it will help to curb insecurity in the country?
Of course, yes. It goes without saying now. I mean, take a typical training evening when you have exhausted yourself. First of all, you train. Sport brings happiness to you. Because of the kind of is it hormones or chromosomes or whatever they call it in science that the sports generate inside your body, you remain positive. First of all, and a positive mind is a positive mind. It hardly goes negative. That is even first. Then your engagement with people, community will know ourselves, schools will know ourselves. I mean, I wonder, apart from the Principal's Cup that's going on now, maybe in Delta State, maybe in some states it's so difficult it might be difficult for a student in a school in Asaba to say he knows another student in a school in, let us say, Ibuso. I don't understand. But in those days, we know students from far and wide. I can tell you students in a Dokpolo, I can tell you students in the government college, really, because we engage through sports. There's so much that it brings. Are you talking about the unity? Because we already know ourselves. We know ourselves and we continue to communicate with ourselves through several means. Inter-house sport, regional, zonal sports, whatever, multi-sports competition, football competition, the Principal's Cup, the all sort of competition. We see ourselves, we know ourselves. We build relationships. We get exchange. You understand? And so on. People marry, get girlfriends, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's life, but that's life. You know? So crime goes away from it. But when you go to some communities these days, as at the time we're supposed to be playing football in the evenings, you see children or young boys in street corners smoking, doing certain things that ordinarily at their level they shouldn't be doing. You know, and we're not just talking about cigarettes now. People are doing drugs. They have time to do drugs. If you're in sports, for instance, you wouldn't even be talking about drugs because it drains you.
I think, Fred, we need to advocate for that. Let's advocate for sponsorship of sports at even if it's tennis, we can use it to checkmate drug abuse.
Of course, yes. Communities, I'm going to try to do something. I think so. The local government, Association of Local Government. So apart from the Principal's Cup, apart from the Headmaster's Cup, they try to, and the State Sports Festival itself, they try to do something that's a little different that will involve communities, not just local government. You understand? Because that's the starting point. Sports needs to be happening at the inner communities. Sports needs to be happening across all towns and villages where people will really get engaged for their health first of all. Because all this issue of sudden death, obesity, and blah blah blah, you understand? They also come when people are not active. Sports helps you to solve almost 70% of that problem in any community, in any society. Because people are going to be active. All this cardiovascular and all those diseases that lead to sudden death will be highly reduced. That will also relieve the hospitals a little bit. You understand? And look, you can't count the benefits.
Yeah. Fred, I think we have exhausted our time. Final word to Nigerians as far as sport development is concerned. The community people, government, and the business people who can also look into investing in sport as well.
In those days we used to have some kind of summits where people sit down and we actually talk to ourselves. And government, what is your role? Private sector, what is your role? Local government, what is your role? Community, what is your role? What is inhibiting you from performing these roles? Let us know. And let us provide solutions for them. But let us first define for ourselves what do we want to do with sports. At the grassroots level, what is the basis for it? Unity, health, fighting crime, and then development of young athletes. Right? At the intermediate level, what do we do? At the elite level, what do we do? What is supposed to be the correlation between other ministries and other sectors, complementing themselves to make sure we develop? Government has to sit down, ask itself some questions, and then design for us how we can move this way. Right now, we just full of sound and fury, signifying nothing really.
Thank you very much. Fred, I want to thank you. Like the first caller said, Pius from Asaba. Say, I need to bring you back another time. I know you will oblige me when I call on you. Thank you very much for joining us in this episode.
My pleasure.
This is how far we can go on this episode of the Meeting Point. But rest assured that if we take our sports seriously, so many problems bedeviling our country today will not be there. Security will not be there. Life expectancy will increase, business will boom, communities will enjoy, sport administrators will also make huge sums of money from their investment in sports. So we must begin to see sports as a business and not just as a pastime event. God bless you, and join us same time tomorrow for another wonderful episode of The Meeting Point. My name is Mike Edoreh.